Hey, friends, I am so happy to be bringing another episode of the Coalition9 podcast straight to you. I am your host, Aaron Eggert. Today's guest is the co-owner, publisher, and editor of Upsize Minnesota, a local publication focused on providing content aimed at helping small businesses grow. I am thrilled to share the journey of my friend, Andy Tellijohn. Andy, welcome to the show, my man.
Honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love it. So you and I have been we both work in a little bit of the same space. If I'm going to call myself a podcast host, and you are definitely a journalist, then we work in a little bit in the same space. So I'm excited to like get to know you and share a little bit about Upsize and all the good things that you're doing, but more importantly, share about your journey. So let's dive into some of this stuff. So Andy, I'm curious how someone goes from being in the rural area, you grew up in a rural area, and then getting into journalism, and then also not only just getting into journalism, doubling down and becoming an owner in journalism. So tell me a little bit about so what was your upbringing like? What was you like? Were you influenced by your mom and dad? Did your mom and dad, were they business owners, or was this just something that you decided to jump into?
Yeah, it's been a pretty random road in a lot of ways. My parents were business owners. Entrepreneurialism is in my blood. My parents ran a landfill and recycling center in Le Sueur, where I grew up. It's about an hour south of the cities, and so my first job was Saturdays and after school on a lot of days before when I wasn't in sports practice or whatever. I'd get bussed out there and go and pressure wash garbage trucks, for minimum wage.
Yeah.
So my I learned a work ethic from my parents. I learned entrepreneurialism. I probably a little bit too much of a go your own way kind of thing. It's I've always kind of had my own ideas on how I wanted to do things, and if I did get an opportunity to get into ownership at some point, some ideas that I wanted to try. But yeah, my parents were very influential in at least not necessarily actively guiding me toward entrepreneurialism, but I mean that's what I was around when I grew up, and so it seemed pretty natural as I got into it. I think my wife would probably prefer that I was a little bit more of a 9 to 5er, that I was a little bit into a little bit more of the traditional work life balance lifestyle, but it's just never really been how I was wired.
It's not in the cards for you, man. And then waste is I think that's an interesting business, right? So my wife's dad works in septic system maintenance and things like that. So I'm talking, that's human waste. That's a totally different thing. But what we're talking about here, like, what made them decide that they wanted to get into that world?
I'm not 100% sure what made them go in that direction, other than my grandfather started the company. So I mean, to at least some degree,
There you go.
it was available. I mean, my grandpa was looking to get out. My parents bought the company from my grandparents, and I think in particular, my dad was probably always destined to go the entrepreneurial route in some way, shape, or form. But fairly early on in their work lives, the landfill became available, and they bought it when it was an operation of three or four trucks, and they won. I mean, they won a lot of business and expanded into pretty good. I couldn't give you all of the specifics, but they were operating throughout the 7 county metro, and had a pretty big operation going before they eventually sold out to Waste Management. Early on in I guess I was around college age at that point.
Yeah, they
So
sold out
yeah,
to
no, they built a pretty good thing, and did really well for themselves.
they sold out to the behemoth.
They did. It was
Yeah.
That's kind of the American dream at work right there.
Right, it is, yeah. And was that ever an option? So I think you have, I remember us having a conversation that you have a younger brother, but was that ever an option for you and your brother, or was this just like, hey, we're selling this thing and we're gonna take the money and run?
I think my parents would have, entertained the idea if either of us had ever really expressed any interest.
Mhm.
When I got out of high school, I thought I was going to be an accountant. I went to business school and had every intention of getting into accounting and finance and making a lot of money and doing it in a different way than they did. And I don't my brother never really had any interest in taking over the business either. So I think they realized that it wasn't going to be a third generation family owned business, and they never pressured us to go that direction. And I mean, when they sold out, they did really well, and I mean, good on them. That's
Yeah,
they earned it.
heck yeah.
They put in a lot of hours and worked really hard to make it happen. They deserved all the success they got.
Heck yeah, yeah, for sure, 100%. And it's always there's stats around like third generation businesses too. Like the percentages of success continue to dwindle. So
Yep.
as you're taking over a third generation business, so it's cool that you made the decision to kind of chart your own course and do your own thing. Was journalism ever anything that you dabbled in when you were in high school and when you were growing up? Like what was your jam when you were growing up, like as far as like extracurricular activities and stuff like that? And was journalism even a part of that?
We didn't even have a student newspaper at the school I went to. I would take some writing classes here and there, and I enjoyed it, and it was always something that I was halfway decent at. But and I did at some point in time. So the Henderson Independent, Henderson is just down the road from Le Sueur,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to know the editor there, and I did do a short stint writing for them over a couple of summers, but that was later on. I was already in college by that point. Honestly, uh, journalism wasn't a thought when I left Le Sueur and went to college. Uh, I was admitted into the Carlson School. I thought I was going down the right route with business. Ended up still getting a business degree, but I was second or third year of college when I kind of realized that the accounting direction wasn't fitting me like I had hoped. And I started trying to figure out what I was going to do next, or what direction I was going to take. And writing, it was like I said, it was something that I knew I could do fairly well, that I was interested in. I thought, well, maybe this is a decent route to take until I figure out what I want to do with my life. And here we are, 25 some odd years later, and
Right.
I guess at some point I'm going to have to say I'm a lifer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think 25 years is kind of saying you're a little bit of a lifer. And if you're anything like me, you're always trying to figure that out, like what you're going to do, right? What you're going to do when you grow up. I think I've kind of found it, but I don't know. Like, and you've seems like you've kind of found it, but you never know what the future holds, right?
Well, I mean, when we first met, when we had lunch that first time, I was really intrigued by your story and how, I mean, took a couple swings at things, and
Yep.
it took a while to figure out where you were headed. And that rang true with me, because
Yeah, man.
it's been a winding road to get where I have, and I'm far from where I want to be. But yeah, I think at some level I've figured out that this is what I'm going to do, and now it's just kind of doing it the best I can possibly do it.
So then when you were in so let's take a little step back to high school and stuff. So what were some of the things were you a good student, and did you get good grades and all that stuff? And then, what were some of the things that you enjoyed doing? If it wasn't journalism, because that didn't really wasn't afforded to you, what were the things you were into when you were in high school?
I was a decent student. I've never been a great student, but I worked hard to get decent grades, and was around a B plus student. I guess, something like that. I played on the football team. I played on the baseball team. I loved sports, still do. Uh, I was in what they called Knowledge Bowl, which is kind of a trivia competition. Teams of 5 would compete against teams of 5 from other schools, etc. That was, I mean, very competitive. I'm rarely ever the smartest guy in the room. I'm almost never the most athletic guy in the room, but you can offset a fair amount of lack of talent with effort. And, that's try to never let myself be outworked. So I ran the gamut. I wasn't particularly athletic. I didn't, get a lot of playing time, but I loved playing sports. But I did some academic things as well, and pretty well rounded. Got along with in general, got along pretty well with all of the different groups. Was sort of a chameleon to some extent that way. Sweet. It was a good high school experience.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Our first break, we're going to share a few of our community supporters, the people that help make this thing possible and the C9 community possible financially. So they got our backs. We got to have them. So let's hear from a few of our community supporters. We'll be right back with Andy.
If you're an entrepreneur or married to one, your journey is complex. You want financial advice that impacts your whole net worth, including your business, not just stock market investments. You also want a partner that quarterbacks the relationships between the CPA, estate planner, banker, and other trusted advisors. That's where the team at eWealth Partners comes in. We love helping you and your spouse design a financial plan that aligns and empowers you. A plan that addresses your concerns, priorities, and goals tailored to reach your long-term vision. A long-term vision that is worth the pursuit today. Visit ewealthpartners.com to learn how they can help couples like you. eWealth Partners, holistic financial planning for entrepreneurs. Investment advisor services offered through AdvisorNet Wealth Management. eWealth Partners and AdvisorNet Wealth Management are not affiliated. United Healthcare is dedicated to helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone by simplifying the healthcare experience, meeting consumer health and wellness needs, and sustaining trusted relationships with care providers. UHC is continually focused on building a modern, high-performing health system via improved access, affordability, outcomes, and experiences. With a network of over 1.6 million physicians and healthcare professionals in over 6,000 hospitals, United Healthcare is dedicated to connecting employers and their employees to better health by offering quality benefits designed for affordability. For more information, visit United Healthcare at www.uhc.com. United Healthcare, helping people live healthier lives. The topic of talent is hot in organizations of any size, and I would argue none more than small to mid-sized businesses. That's why it's crucial to have a partner to help you navigate all the HR idiosyncrasies so you can focus on working on your business and not in it. Insperity is a full-service HR partner with a high-touch, high-tech platform helping owners work through challenges like employee retention, company culture, and benefits, just to name a few. Do yourself a favor and explore all they have to offer at Insperity.com. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. If you're anything like me, you know enough to be dangerous when it comes to finance, yet need some help when things get complicated. All-in-One Accounting provides the right financial expertise and leadership to align with your stage of growth. From outsourced accounting and bookkeeping to strategic financial planning, the team of accounting rockstars at All-in-One Accounting are passionate about positively impacting the businesses and lives of their clients. You need to check them out at allinoneaccounting.com. All-in-One Accounting, taking our clients from financial chaos to business clarity and beyond. Regardless if you're a startup just figuring things out or a medium-sized organization with a full team, having a legal partner by your side is crucial. Seiler Law is fiercely loyal to their clients and are passionate about removing headaches and roadblocks that can pop up during the growth of your business. Whether you need general outside counsel, are planning a business transaction, or even need someone to guide you through the estate planning process, the team at Seiler Law are the advocates for you. Visit SeilerLaw.com to learn more. Seiler Law, where experience meets pragmatism.
All right, we're back with Andy Tellijohn. And Andy, so let's dig into the career stuff. All right, so we got to through the high school stuff. We got through, you deciding that you maybe didn't want to go down the accounting path in college, and then having a few shots at some journalism. When did it start to get what was your first real job? Like, I'm not going to say the Henderson thing wasn't a real job, but like your first real, oh shit, man, like I'm in, like, this is the real deal here. When was that? What was that?
Yep. Sure. Well, I'd like to put a plug in for the Henderson Independent. I believe it's the oldest weekly newspaper in the state,
Sweet.
and I did learn a lot working there. I mean, I had the opportunity to do a lot of different things there. I learned a lot about city government. I learned a lot about just kind of going out and having to find stories and doing some general assignment work. So it was a great experience. My first real job out of college, I had an extended internship with the Star Tribune,
Mm.
and I was hired at first. I spent 6 months working with a couple of the better investigative reporters in the state on a project one of them was doing on abuse of vulnerable adults in group homes. And I mean, I played a very small part in that. I ended up kind of doing some data entry on reports that they had gotten, and helped identify a couple of trends that it was grunt work, but it was incredibly enlightening in terms of how you get into the nitty gritty details when you're working on investigative work. I mean, there's no cutting corners. You've got to make sure you're right. A lot of those investigative pieces, there's the potential for legal repercussions in the end if you're wrong. And so, I mean, it was a great education on how nitty gritty and fine tuned you have to be in making sure that everything is correct and accurate. And then after that, I filled in for 8 months for a woman on maternity leave in the public safety department, which is a lot of cops and courts and blood and guts reporting. And this was right around the time where, if you'll recall, Katie Poyer, a young lady up in Moose Lake, was abducted. That was if you're looking for an oh shit moment. I was the only reporter in the newsroom on Saturday morning, working a weekend shift, and we got a call from the Poyer family inviting a reporter to come up and interview Katie's parents. Talk to them about Katie, and I mean, I was one of the first couple reporters in the state to be afforded the opportunity to actually talk with her parents, and I think I was 22 and fresh out of college. That was a pretty wild experience. It gave me a different appreciation for what that side of the job could look like as well.
First of all, that just gave me goosebumps. So that gave me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies.
It gave me goosebumps too. I just thinking back about that.
Yeah.
You really I mean, it's not sexy reporting, but I mean, when on the cops and courts side of things, you end up really I mean, you've got to be sensitive, and you've got to be, smart and careful. And just recalling that experience, I had some goosebumps as well. So,
you and I have talked about this, and I think, and we talked about this when we had lunch, and we've talked about it since, but like, there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about in this podcast. And to me, it's like paradigm shifting events, or, and nature versus nurture. Right. So I think we talked about the nature versus nurture thing with, the path that you've gone with, the influence your parents had and stuff like that. So we've kind of checked that box. But for paradigm shifting events, I have to believe that is probably one of the events that probably in your journalism career was just almost that smack upside the head, was like, oh shit, this just got real.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if I recall correctly, you said that everybody's kind of got that one event in their careers or in their lives that sort of shapes what direction they go. And I have sat down a couple times trying to figure out and I can't say that I've had one, but over the years I've had a number of different things happen that were sort of smaller versions of that. When I left my last job, my last I guess, hired job at the Business Journal in 2004. That was a big moment. I kind of knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I had figured out that, I was drawn towards small businesses and entrepreneurialism at that point, and was looking for an entrepreneurial opportunity of my own to pursue. And so I left that job and went freelance, and so that was a major defining moment. That interview with the Poyer family, that opportunity with the Star Tribune was a moment like that. I mean, if I sat down and thought about it hard enough, I could probably come up with 4 or 5 smaller mega moments like that that sort of shaped the direction that I ended up going.
And was it your time? How long did you spend at the Business Journal?
About 4.5 years.
And was that time, so you're doing some of the cops and courts / blood and guts stuff at the Star Tribune, you're right, and then you go to something that's totally different, which is going to be business focused, entrepreneurship, leadership, all the things that the Business Journal is about, celebrating business, that they've got a big real estate component, all that other stuff, right? What was that, when you were there and the time that you spent there, did that help define like the path that you decided you wanted to take, and then eventually translating into now, being an owner at Upsize?
Absolutely. When I was at the Business Journal, we in the Business Journal is about breaking news, and we were all, I think the expectation was 4 breaking news stories a week. It was a small reporting staff, 4.5, 5 reporters in the editorial team. And, I think my beats at the time were retail, food, transportation, sports business, environmental services companies. And it's like, if you're looking at a who's who of the companies in the state, you've got Target, you've got Northwest Airlines at the time, you've got General Mills, and trying to cover those, all of those companies well, while competing with the Star Tribune and the Pioneer Press business sections, and trying to get stories that they weren't finding as a weekly newspaper guy on 4 beats, when those papers have got beat writers specifically assigned to, in some cases they had Star Tribune had a Northwest Airlines reporter. So trying to beat those folks on stories, it was like, I really learned a lot about, reporting and digging into documents, and how to find information, and get people to talk to you. But at the same time, at the same time, it also sort of made me realize, I did a project that lasted a year when I was at the Business Journal. I think it was called our Small Business Diary or something like that, where we followed 5 small business owners, checked in with them each month, and did something on, whatever it might be. How did you go about finding financing, or whatever? And, those small business owners and entrepreneurs, it really started to jump out to me at that point, that I mean, so many different personalities and so many different ways they went about starting the businesses that they did, and frankly, much easier to talk to in a lot of cases than folks at the bigger companies with the massive public relations firms, and the things that they can say and can't say. I mean, I just really kind of fell in love with telling the stories of the small business owners, and so I mean, long story short, shortly after I left the newspaper, or maybe even a little bit before, Upsize started up, and that was one of the first calls that I made when I went freelance, was to see if I might have the opportunity to write for Upsize.
So then you just talked about why you enjoy, that how much you enjoyed talking to small business owners and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. Well, eventually you became one. How did that opportunity arise, and how did you get to go from being a journalist working in the news to being the owner of a publication and help writing about the news?
Yeah, kind of came full circle. It's a long and winding road. It starts back in my my childhood years, I'm watching my parents run their own business. I don't know that I necessarily realized it when I got to college, but I think it had started to seep into my own blood. When I finished college, by the time I finished college, I knew I wasn't going to go immediately into business, but I finished my business degree. So I had a fair amount of business background, and that helped me land that job at the Business Journal. I did have a fairly decent business background, and it's when I like I said earlier, when I left the Business Journal, I kind of had this itch to do something entrepreneurial. Didn't know what it was. Thought maybe real estate for a while. That never really panned out. But in some ways, being a freelancer is a little bit like being an entrepreneur. I mean, you got to go out there and drum up your own business. So I did get the opportunity to write for Upsize. I had written for the magazine off and on for several years. And then I think it was 2016 or 2017, the founding editor, Beth Ewan, had another job, and she was getting burned out on doing all of the editorial. And she asked me if I would be interested in taking over running the editorial side of the magazine. And I jumped at the opportunity. It's been one of my favorite magazines to write for since I went freelance. And I went into that kind of in the back of my head with the idea that the founding publisher, Wes Bergstrom, was toward the end of his career, and so I always thought maybe there might be an opportunity to turn this into an ownership possibility. And I had started raising the issue with Wes of possibly buying in, and then just as COVID was starting, Wes passed away suddenly. And so the magazine was actually on hiatus for about a year while Wes's family figured out what they wanted to do. And there wasn't anybody inside the family who wanted to take it over. And so the opportunity was there. I couldn't be more thankful to the Bergstroms. The price worked out, the opportunity worked out, and so here we are. I guess we're closing in on, I think, 3 years of it'll be 3 years on February 1st since we bought it, and so we're doing all right. We're not where I was hoping we'd be, but we're slogging along, and we're still going.
And so I'm a fan of the magazine. I think the work that you do in telling the stories and finding the subject matter experts and the content that you put out, it's a great amount of content because it comes out every other month. I'm the type of person, I don't need to be reading stuff that often. I have problems absorbing that stuff anyway. So your timing is good for me. I like it so much that I also advertise in it. And for me, my strategy on that is that I really it's about brand equity and making sure that we are supporting other small businesses and entrepreneurs in the Twin Cities area. So tell our listeners a little bit about the premise of Upsize, kind of the why behind it, and how you differentiate yourself from other publications.
Sure. And thank you for your business, by the way. I very, very much appreciate that. Yes, Upsize is a how-to magazine. So every piece of content in the magazine is designed around the idea that we're trying to help small business owners solve a problem. How to find financing, how to build a board of directors, when to get a line of credit. And the beauty of it, as I see it, is I hope that everybody gets a nugget or two out of the magazine every couple months, but there's also, we publish contact information for the folks that we interview in the magazine, and so the idea is to help facilitate networking and the idea that here's somebody who's maybe touching on something that is of interest to you, and if you got a couple questions for them, you can drop them an email or connect with them on LinkedIn and follow up and maybe end up doing business together. my theory on the magazine is that we're trying to help small businesses learn from each other so that they don't have to repeat mistakes or rebuild the wheel every time something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's I'd say where we differentiate from other publications. I'll never badmouth. The business journal is great. It's got its
Yep.
role in the community. Minnesota Business, Twin Cities Business. It's another good publication. I've sent off notes to their publisher a couple times, telling her I thought that she wrote a great story in their recent issue. I am a big fan. But Upsize is the only how-to magazine in the market, and I mean, well, we're competing a little bit for ad dollars, but I think there's sufficient room for all of us in this market, to continue playing the roles that we're playing in telling the stories of Twin Cities business, Minnesota business.
Yeah, and I think too that I think the way you go to market is fascinating, and I really like it. A lot of what you're about is a lot of what I'm about, right? So the C9 community is about education and building relationships and making connections and helping people get to where they want to go, whatever that means for that individual. You are taking that same route by providing contact information, hopefully sparking some relationships, those types of things. But here's the thing I dig, and I'm not looking for you to like get into like the financial side of things. That'd be stupid. But one thing listeners need to wrap their heads around is this is free. Okay. And then also so it's literally, you just go online. I'll put the link in our show notes so people can just go click on it and go get both the digital and the physical version of this. So it's free, and you drive growth through ad dollars. So what I think is great about that is that you've got someone like me that gets to choose to give you the financial requirements you need to be able to keep that business alive. And then therefore I've got a captive audience of people that can tap into what we're all about. And you've got all these other different people that place their ads in there, but nobody pays a dime for the subscription. So the how-to aspect of this is free. To me, at what point was this always the go-to market strategy with Upsize, or is this something that you guys made the change when you took it over?
I would be speaking out of turn if I mean, I wasn't involved in the meetings back in the early days. So I don't, I think there was a point at which the magazine was on the shelves at Barnes and Noble, and that, at that point there might have been a requirement for a subscription fee. I don't know all of the details behind that. It's been free as long as I've been involved on a regular basis. And, yeah, I mean, the idea is to get the information into the hands of the small business owners, and more eyes allow me to charge a little bit more for the advertising, and so the more people that sign up, the better that the advertising relationships are gonna be. So yeah, no, it's that's we have had some internal discussions about that strategy, but I think it's worked. It's worked so far, and at this point we've got 6,600 6,700 subscribers. At some level, even if we did want to change it at this point, I'm not sure we could, but yeah, no, I think it's a pretty good strategy. The businesses are the ones that are trying to grow. The businesses are the one that need the information in order to, in theory, need the information, to help them grow. And some of the small business service providers that are doing advertising, Coalition9, they're getting an opportunity to market some of the services that they provide, in the pages of the magazine as well. So, in exchange for a few ad dollars, I think it is a model that makes some sense.
And I always love it because obviously I love to see our ad in there, but I love when you tap into the C9 community too, because it always seems like there's a one or two people at minimum 1, 2, maybe even 3, sometimes more C9ers that you tap on the shoulder, because we've got so many wicked smart people in the community to interview and ask questions and be a subject matter expert. Like that to me that's like, for me selfishly, that's the second part of it. I'm just like, awesome. I love that he tapped into our resources. So you are finding like second to none, like wicked smart people to provide this. You're not just, you're just not going back to the well every single time. You're diversifying and bringing in some new talent.
Absolutely. No, I mean, so I'm in a Coalition9 group. My group has got, I love the group. It's been great to be able to bounce ideas off of them and to get, I'm a first time business owner, and I've one thing that I have that I quickly I already knew going in that I had a lot to learn, but I frankly underestimated how much, and having a group of people that I can get together with once a month and bounce things off of has been great. And like you say, you've got a who's who of membership
All right.
people here, and it would be foolish of me to not tap into these folks to get their assistance and advice. It just makes sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. So, one thing I've asked, we did a little bit of a prep call and talked about some of this stuff. And I love your answer on what does the future hold for you? And, I think you're so early on in your business. I'm going to say this so you don't have to. Like, what the future holds for Andy is if you have not signed up for a subscription of Upsize Minnesota, click on the link in the show notes, whether it be on YouTube or it be on your podcast app of choice, and go on there and it doesn't cost you anything. Like literally, you just got to give him your address and your email address and all that, your particulars. So go on there and do that. And then if you do want to have a captive audience of what you said, 6,700 people. So 6,700 eyes that are going to be looking at this. And it's a nice, lean, easy read. So it's like packed full into a small little package of information. But if that's something you wanted to advertise in, I would implore you to, because for me, I've found success in that, to click on the link and then also reach out to Andy and like get to know him a little bit and talk to him about it.
I need you to become an ad sales guy for me or
your
something.
PR guy. I'll just be your PR guy.
You might be better at selling my magazine than I am.
No, come on now. It's easy for me to do it when I don't have skin in the game. So you do you, and I'll just back you up. How's that sound?
I appreciate the comments, though. It's very, very nice to hear. I will say the price is right. You're out nothing more than a little bit of space in your mailbox every couple months, and if you don't like it, you can use it to start a fire during the upcoming winter months here. It's
right. People will get it though. Just sign up. Come on, give me a break. All right. Let's talk. So what's your family dynamic?
I have 2 kids, 9 and 5. There's no visual to this, so people can't see my receding hairline and gray hair, but got into the parenting game a little later in life than some. My son will graduate from high school right as I'm eligible for early Social Security enrollment, if it's still around. But my kids are adopted. It's we've got that they've got those that story to tell. Mm-hmm. And then I guess I listened to Matt's podcast the other day. You wanted information about pets as well?
Oh, hey, I'm a dog lover. I don't have kids, so all I do is talk about my dog Ori. So what's your pet situation?
Well, I may get booted, I guess. If you're a dog guy, we've got 2 cats, and they're I guess it'll probably show just how big of a nerdy family we are here. But their names are Woodward and Bernstein, after the after the Washington Post Watergate reporters.
Yeah.
My wife and I met in at the college newspaper, the Minnesota Daily, on campus. She was a journalist and has since smartened up and moved on to healthcare. But we're both sort of media dorks, and so all of our cats so far have been named after famous journalists.
I like it. I like it. Well, I'm listen, just because I'm not a cat guy doesn't mean that other people can't be cat people. It's just I've made my choice, and as long as you're happy, I'm good, man. It's just it's not my jam. I had 2 cats. They were barn cats, and they killed everything. They kept killing birds and baby animals and stuff like that. I was like, peace out. You guys have to go live on a farm somewhere.
We had a lot of strays growing up, and ended up
go.
with a lot of that same carnage on the front steps and stuff like that. But that's they're a little lower maintenance, and don't have to take them outside in the middle of winter to go to the bathroom and all of that. So that's the route we went. My son my 5-year-old son wishes we had a dog every day, but so far we've resisted.
He's got to grow up a little bit until he can take care of that thing. That's a big responsibility.
Amen to that.
Yeah. One question I want to ask you before we're going to take a quick break here in a little bit, but so you and we both love sports.
Yes.
I think you've said at some point it's almost like it's unhealthy how much you love sports. But how many fantasy football teams do you have going right now?
Oh, geez. I had managed to keep this relatively in check until COVID hit. My sort of stress release, I guess, during COVID was I joined about every dynasty fantasy league you could that I could get my hands on. So the number's over 20 right now. And it's gotten a little out of hand, and with the business and all, I'm having a hard time keeping up with it all. So I may have to pare that back a little bit, but yeah, I'm a fantasy football addict.
Yeah, so I was in 10 at one time, and I just decided to pare it all back to 1. And the league I run that I've been a part of, where I think we're going into our 25th year, we started it in the late 90s. So that's a good one. Is there one team that you look at out of your 20 where you're just like, all right, this is the one that I really feel like I got something going here?
There used to be, but that league hasn't. That league was a casualty of COVID at this point. I kind of rank them in terms of you get to a point 3-4 weeks into the season where if you've got a pretty good team or a pretty bad team, and my goal every year is to come out a little bit ahead of where I was when I started, and so. That's kind of how I rank the priorities, is what teams do I think I can win with, and which ones am I sort of punting on until next year.
Yeah. Especially in that dynasty world. All right. I had to throw that in there. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear we're going to hear the 9 questions from Andy. Andy's super excited about that. He's not nervous at all. And we're going to be right back after we hear from some of our beloved community supporters.
Every year brings new challenges for Minnesota business leaders, and USI Insurance is here to take the pressure off of the employee benefits decision. Having a local presence with national resources, USI combines a client-centric culture with leading-edge technical resources so you can make an informed decision on your benefits investment. The USI team has been deeply committed to investing into our local communities and utilizes their expertise to provide solutions you can count on to protect your greatest asset, your employees. USI has been partnering with Twin Cities businesses for decades, and they would welcome the opportunity to do the same for you. Visit USI.com to learn how USI's approach to risk management and employee benefits delivers customized, actionable solutions with bottom-line impact. Verseek Search and Consulting is thrilled to support Coalition 9 and this podcast, and we are just as excited to have them as a partner. Verseek is a Minnesota-based, high-performance recruiting firm that specializes in interim solutions, direct hire, and executive leadership search. Their team of experienced professionals and seasoned leaders across various areas of expertise and industries have been in your shoes. They quickly assess your whole company and identify key elements that will take your business to the next level. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people, and few areas of your business are more critical than your finance and accounting team. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people. Verseek can help connect you with the talented candidates within finance and accounting, along with other areas of expertise in executive search, direct hire, and interim solutions. People are the ultimate business advantage. Find your people together with Verseek and make the best possible for your business. Learn more and contact Verseek by visiting Verseek.com and following them on LinkedIn. All right, everybody needs a bank. Not just any bank, a good community bank. From personal needs like checking and savings accounts to business services like financing and M&A support, the team at Flagship Bank is there to provide you with the assistance you need so you can spend less time thinking about your finances and more time enjoying what your money can do for you. To learn more, head over to Flagship Banks, that's flagshipbanks with an S.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Flagship Bank, investing in you. When you think of a typical CPA firm, you probably think of tax planning. Well, that just scratches the surface of what Boulay offers their clients. By providing smart, in-depth thinking from experts in accounting, audit, tax, and business consulting, they know what it takes to achieve financial success. Whether it's protecting your business, building your wealth, or securing your future, you can count on Boulay to go beyond addressing just financial matters and providing you with tailor-made, workable solutions. Learn about all they have to offer at bouleygroup.com. Boulay, helping you get there. For more than 20 years, Kaisa has been the trusted financial advisor for women, business owners, executives, and high net worth families, developing financial plans designed to meet them where they are and propel them to where they want to be. Their mission is to remove the worry and stress associated with financial planning and replace it with clarity and confidence. The Kaisa team takes the time to understand each client's unique situation, from financial concerns to the visions that they have for current and future generations, in order to create a truly customized plan. Through consistent communication and personal attentiveness, Kaisa is fiercely devoted to personal well-being and financial prosperity. Get to know the Kaisa team and how they can serve you at kaisawealth.com. In addition to the community supporters you heard from on the show today, I also want to give a quick shout out to our evolving level community supporters: Carlson Partners, Fluid Interiors, Keystone Group International, Modern Foundation, and Rev Advisory Group. All right, we're back with Andy. We heard his story. We heard his passion for fantasy football and journalism and storytelling and all that fun stuff. But now it's time to get to brass tacks and dig a little bit deeper and get to know a little bit more about what makes Andy tick. Andy,
Okay.
Can you confirm to me that you have no idea what I'm about to ask you?
I have no idea what you're about to ask me.
All right, let's party. Number one, what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Strangest thing I've ever eaten. I haven't gotten terribly exotic on that. Probably one of those things on a stick over at the state fair, or you alligator on a stick or dolphin on a stick, or I'm relatively open-minded, but I have to say my food intake hasn't been all that wild, so I wish I could give you a better answer than that. But
well, if you've had dolphin on a stick, that sounds illegal, first of all. But
I can't really have alligator's probably the weirdest it's gotten. But that. I mean, I'm kind of a boring answer on that one. Sorry.
Oh, that's all good. Well, you got to start somewhere. Let's get that first. We got that first one out of the way. What is one of your hidden talents besides management of fantasy, an insane amount of fantasy football teams?
Yeah, you already exposed that. Yeah. That's no longer hidden. I don't know. I mean, I guess I like to think I play a fairly mathematically smart game of blackjack, but you wouldn't know it by my bank account. But
well, the bank account is the only thing that matters in blackjack, dude.
Well, I know. And so is that really a hidden talent, or am I just fooling myself? That's the best I got off the top of my head. I'll see if I can come up with something better.
That's all good. That's why we do this, keeping you on your toes. If something was going to be that prevalent. All right, there we go. So the good segue. So number 3, we're going back to the well on food. Describe the perfect meal.
The perfect meal. Wow. Let's see. I'm starting with a pre-meal bourbon. And then I'm a medium rare steak off the grill. I'd probably pair it with a baked potato and some asparagus that's got olive oil and salt and pepper, also off the grill. Once the steak is ready, then I'd switch from bourbon to the darkest, most full-bodied red, probably Cabernet that I can find on the shelf. And then once dinner's over, I'm washing it down with another small shot of bourbon.
The wine that I love with a steak, you and I take our steak the same way, it sounds like. My favorite wine, and it's not expensive at all. I'm not an expensive wine guy. I'm not a wine snob. So anybody who's listening to this that's a wine snob, dial it back. It's called Double Black. And it is such a deep red, and it's got like notes of like cherry plum Not too like vanilla-y or anything, a little bit of like, I think it's like a little bit of tobacco in it that just kind of it makes that meat pop a little bit. I gotta tell you, that's, if you haven't tried it, you gotta try that shit.
Yeah, no, so through one of my other freelance gigs, I got the opportunity one time to sit in on a wine tasting, one of those educational sessions, and
Yeah.
they did the smelling of it and watching the legs as they run down the side of the glass, and it was fun to listen to, but none of that stuff registered all that much with me. But what did was, the darker the wine got, the more flavorful it was, and the more flavorful it was, the more I liked it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't consider myself in any way to be an educated wine drinker or bourbon drinker. I've figured out a little bit about what I like over the years, but I mean, it's, I guess when I'm at the liquor store and I'm buying a bottle of wine, it's I'm looking for the darkest color and the fanciest label. So
Yeah, there you go. Try that double black if you haven't had it, and
I will look for it.
shoot me a text. All right. Would you rather always say everything on your mind or never speak again?
I probably would like to say everything that's on my mind. I would lose a lot of friends and
Not very Minnesotan of you.
not I mean, that's that I think the better thing for me to do would be to never say anything again, but that would be going against my nature.
Yeah. Well, if you got to pick one, which one's it going to be?
Oh, well, I mean, the question was worded, what would I rather do? And what would I rather do would be speak my mind.
All right, there you go. That's all I care about.
Yep.
Where is your happy place?
When my wife and I bought the house we live in right now, we bought it on potential, not on what is existing here, but on what the potential for the room for the house could be if we put some money into renovating it. And there's a room in my basement right now that's just a mess, water problems and all sorts of things we've got to fix. But my dream is to get that fixed up, put in some theater style seating with a theater screen that I can watch sports on, a bar, a poker table. I'm a ways away from being able to make that reality, but that's the happy place of my dreams.
Yeah, I like it. Good. Potential. I like that word, potential. What do you enjoy spending money on?
I like a good bourbon. I like a good wine. And I read a lot. I'd like to get myself a nice pickup truck at some point. But as far as what's in the budget right now, a good book and a good bourbon, and I can sit up and put my feet up and be pretty happy.
Attaboy. I like that. What was the first album / CD / tape or whatever that you ever purchased on your own?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I was maybe a Bruce Springsteen, maybe like a Born in the USA or something like that. It would have been around that era.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel, maybe something like that. That's the kind of stuff I was listening to back then, but I couldn't tell you what the exact first one was.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, you dip back there a little bit, so at least we're getting a little bit of a feel for the genre of music you like and stuff like that. That's what matters.
Yeah.
All right, another would you rather question. Would you rather make your own clothes or grow your own food?
Grow my own food. I don't think I'd be very good at making my own clothes, and I can't honestly say I have a ton of interest in that. But well, candidly, I'm not all that good at growing my own food either. I've tried that in the backyard here a little bit, and I wasn't very successful at it. But I'm a food guy, and that would far and away be my choice in that one.
All right, good. That's what I thought you'd say. The last one. You've survived 8 already. Yeah, these went fast.
Wow.
I know, right? Keep firing them at you. All right. What is one thing you have deep gratitude for right now?
Healthy wife and kids. And I mean, the opportunity to do what I'm doing right now. I could go on and on. I mean, I've had all in all, I mean, everybody goes through ups and downs, and we're no different than they are. But all in all, I'm pretty blessed in all aspects of life. But healthy wife and kids would be top of the list right now.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Good answer. All right. You survived. You can just let it hang out now. Let's take a deep breath. Yeah. Let's get it together here. I want people to get to know you. Dude, you're doing a really great thing, not only for the business community, but just other C9ers. And I'm blessed to have you part of the community. I know your group loves having you in it. I just talked to Sarah this morning. I told her that we were recording a podcast. She's like, oh, good. You got him on there. That's great. So Sarah Schlipp-Riedel is your facilitator. She says hi, by the way. But hey, man, so share how people can get a hold of you, whether that be your email address, LinkedIn, however, and then also know that you don't have to say about the stuff about reaching out to you through Upsize, because I will put the links in there in our show notes.
Reach out on LinkedIn, and then I mean, my email address is tellijohn@upsizemag.com, and so I mean, those are a couple easy ways to reach out. And I'm not hard to find, so I mean, if you Google me or whatever, you'll find some way to get in touch. Yep. Me or Upsize.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk about sports, small business, bourbon, good food, Andy's your guy. So spend a little time getting to know Andy. Pick up his magazine. Read his magazine. If you're not a physical person, the digital version is awesome too. So either way, everyone goes. And dude, I'm just happy to have you a part of the community, and I'm thrilled that you finally got you on the show.
I'm happy to be here. Honored to be here. Thank you for all of the support and for giving me the opportunity. This has been great.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. All right. On behalf of Andy, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.